enlightening. I want to throw some ideas out here about in the Bible it talks about one of the end times signs that the people will exhibit is that they're as if their conscience is burned with a hot iron. They won't be able to basically know the difference between right and wrong. They won't have no conscience. And maybe there's more to that than just being a metaphor. Maybe in a kind of literal way as well. You can think of it like this. It's like the lead in the water. Um, this stuff has an effect on your judgment and your thinking capacity. Uh, so the stuff on the internet says anyway, but it makes sense to me. From what I've seen about the aluminum thing, same thing there. And you can have a what is it, a biogenesis, where the two things kind of turn into a separate substance is even like it's exponentially more toxic and more like precision or whatever, because that's the desired effect. For one, all right, the fluoride in the water as well. I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually metal, but it could be. Most minerals are made of some kind of metal. Just look at the side of your cereal box and you'll see all these different metals that are inside of the food that you eat. Some of that's good for you, but some's bad, especially in certain combinations, like especially with the fluoride and the lead and this stuff. It kind of sinks in your bones, and then from that process, the blood quality goes down, the bone quality goes down, and the organ qualities go down, and it costs a lot of money to keep you alive in the long run. So they're banking on that. But beyond even this, now I'm just saying how metal affects the conscience. What could actually hurt the conscience? That is to do with metal. That's just basically where I'm going here. And like mercury in the vaccines breaks the blood-brain barrier. On top of this stuff getting sprayed for look, the nano dust, the nanoparticles, the smart dust, the pills with microchips in them. What is this stuff doing now to the conscience and the body and the biostasis of yourself, I guess, or the people that uh hey, out here you never know what you're getting or who's got what with or what level of what with all the GMO and all the new things they're busting on us and not telling us. It's like really, it's literally we've been experimented on with everything. The food, probably cigarettes. This is probably GMO, and I just never did the research to figure it out. But it's probably engineered to give you cancer quicker, kill you quicker. you know, uh, basically. But another way that the conscience seared with the hot iron, and especially when it comes to metal, that the all right, the nanodust, the nanoparticuli, the chemtrail, the the nano webs, and then some people say that the Morgellons is crystalline, so that doesn't necessarily fit into the iron, but microchips, and actually there is the metal blood cells that are falling out of the sky as well. There's a video about Morgellons by Sophia Smallstrom, Storm, something. It's close. One of those names is right. But anyway, so and then you got programmable matter, and I'm not even sure if that's metal, if that's plastic. I'm not sure really how that works, but they're basically tiny machines. I guess you could say they could build them out of whatever. I mean, theoretically or potentially. I mean, not out of anything, but there's a lot of different ways you could do that. Because even us, some people could say we're a biological computer. We're not quite mechanical, but there is some components of us that are quite. It's like it does. It's like gears on a clock. Everything works together. You know what I'm saying? In that fashion, it's like we still share some of those kind of not quite robotic, but no, it's automatic, like blinking and breathing. That is kind of a robotic, rhythmic thing. You can take control of it. Like you can blink quickly, or you can actively stop your blinking a little bit and draw it out longer, or your breathing. But if you, most of the time, you just do it without thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of funny how it's automatic, but also you have control over it at the same time. It's kind of weird them processes there, but um Huxley, the Berkeley seminar, or it's like from 1963, and he's talking about them implanting electrodes in mice's head. And so basically, an electrode is a piece of metal, and then you hit this button, and it sends the electrical current into their brain. So they basically found the pleasure spot, and they put electrode in there on certain mice, and they'd always hit it. These guys were always happy, walking around in ecstasy and acting all like on acid or something. And they also put one. They put an electrode in people in the other rats' pain and discomfort center of the brain, and they'd hit the button, and they'd get a nasty reaction where the things were all fight or flight and discomfort and weirded. And they put one where they put an electrode half connected into both, and it said those ones would always be confused. They hit that button. Okay, now listen. If you let them get a piece of metal or composite metallic slash crystalline like what is that stuff called, fiber optic, growing fiber optic crystalline hyper unstable element type whatever, I'm not even sure. But you let them get that into your head, that would qualify to be actually like that Huxley getting the electrode in the rat, right? It is metal in your mind, like a hot iron, literally. Like you start to think, down with Big Brother. Before you could say it 3 times, zzz, they hit your electrode and and then reboot. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you're a robot. You're a drone. You've been droned. Your brain is now hackable. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it already is remotely. They do got the capacity to trick your mind with electronic signals that mimic your electrochemical signals. I mean, in theory, anyway. I haven't actually met no one who's spilled beans, an insider, whistleblower, leaker. It's just from what I can gather out there. People do leave little breadcrumb trails to the documents, and and the people that you see what they're showing you, and then you can project what they're not showing you, what they're capable of. It's like, all right, I look at this technology, that technology, combine them, and think, project in my mind. All right, if they added this tank here with this microwave emitter laser beam, I can just foresee the effects it's going to have in case they ever use something like that. I mean, it's kind of like that. But these microchips in the brain, they want to cure PTSD with microchips. So I mean, that is the consciousness seared with the hot iron. You got a psychopathic, sociopathic killing machine. Uh, on drone. You know what I'm saying? It's on remote control. You better slow your roll before you end up on remote control out here. I mean, if they could already have it done, it would be done. We would already be straight already, non-autonomous, non-sovereign, like straight up, Borged, like from Star Trek, The Next Generation. I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know what I'm saying? When I grew up, anyway. Uh, so that all right, with the lead and the fluoride. See, with the fluoride, they gave that to the people in the or in the Nazi concentration camp because it clouds your head and it makes you docile. And we've been getting fed this stuff here in the American population for who knows for how long exactly, and who knows how long they've been doing this. Because here's the thing about the fluoride too, that it says that it affects white people the least. So maybe Rome used to put fluoride in their water for a long time, and they've developed an immunity to it. It says that Latino or Spanish speaking people, or I guess you could say I'd assume they're saying South America and Middle America, but they could be talking about European populations. But it says basically like the Latinos get it hurts them about a quarter of the on the scale, and it's like the white people it's down low on the scale, but black people it says it affects them like four times exponentially harder than the white people. And I don't know if that was just thrown up in there, or uh, engineered that way to make it look like, oh, they're specifically being targeted. But I mean, unfortunately, that is the trend. But I know that's not quite a consciousness seared with a hot iron, but it's part of it because you got to take on top of it what is breaking people down and wearing them down to the point where they submit to get the chip in their head anyway. But then again, you could think, what if we're consuming this shit through the GMO and there's little micro machines in us already uh, setting up shop with some iron on us? Basically, like I said, there may be more to that consciousness seared with the hot iron. I mean, it's like, people can be bred to be sociopathic, but and that still ain't been effective enough as of yet for them to be successful with whatever their ultimate goal end game is. But they heavily want to lean on this thing microchip, iron mixed with clay. I mean, even you see that there's these older movies where they have these people like it's basically like Brave New World, where they just people that are their whole life they just work on this assembly line and eat a bunch of pills, and they got all these machines around them, and they live in the fucking matrix basically, and that's their communist Marxist utopia, uh, Venus project. Basically, it is a Brave New World, Huxley. So I mean, in a way, it's a version of that type of a mindset where it goes. And once again, and even with the technocracy, we got more of a. It's like what's going on now is kind of more like Orwell Big Brother, but there is a mix of a Brave New World in it, and part of it is with using these chemicals like lead. Lead also, it says that there's a link to lead and aggression. So you could say, yeah, people can't think clearly. Then you add a little something that makes them more aggressive. Uh, that's a bad combination. And then you got the stuff, and that's not even counting the stuff sprinkling down out of the sky. Like, we don't even know what that really is and what the real capability is. I mean, is there a bunch of little like look radio RFID kind of devices floating around in the air? Like we just breathe them in and exhale them, and in a way, if a bunch of these collect up in you and it's sending a signal and receiving a signal, in theory, they can kind of pinpoint and send energies and create a field in places of your body potentially or in your head. And maybe that's another form of the seared with the hot iron, the mind. And it does talk about those that take the mark of the beast, and they're definitely, it seems like they're going to be some hijacked, like loss of free will, like basically it is almost like a hive mind, and the Borg in a way. It does sound like it could be uh speaking on something to that effect, where it's like literally, man, like look, the pod people, uh invasion of the body snatchers. I mean, kind of like that. It could get to that point, and with this transhumanist thing, that is definitely iron mixed with the clay. That is definitely iron in the conscience in the brain. That's electrodes and circuit boards and microchips in the head or in the hand, or whatever, dude. I don't know. They got all kinds of wet dreams. What they want to do through modification. I mean, it's just human modification, basically. They like, all right, if they put a bionic arm in you, that'd be called augmented. But if they stick you with this smart dust, this nanoparticuli, and put it in your brain, and it has memory and capacity to interface with your mind, so in a way you can have more brain implanted into your brain. in a way, but it connects you to the machine, so you kind of lose your sovereignty there. Who's in control, the machines or you? I'd say it's probably the machines and the AI algorithm.